starting out making beats for Fortnite gaming videos before he realized he could turn that creative energy into a real career that would change his whole family situation for the better. His breakthrough track, Romantic Homicide, was some real authentic music recorded on his iPhone using BandLab, like most young artists do when they grinding in their bedroom studios trying to make something out of nothing. And it went crazy. TikTok viral, 1 million views overnight. I was like, oh yeah, we cooking, boy. We cooking, boy. The track was straight fire, though, with that raw emotional energy that connected with people from the suburbs to the hood. Pulling in over 700 million streams and hitting number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100, which is major league success for any artist, especially one who came up independent. That viral success caught the attention of Darkroom Intercope Records, and they signed this young talent in July 2022, giving him the kind of industry backing that most artists only dream about getting. This was the type of come-up story that gives hope to kids in every hood across America, showing them that if you got talent and you stay consistent with your grind, you can really make it out and change your whole situation. By 2025, David had transformed from a regular teenager making beats in his room to a legitimate star whose name was ringing bells in every neighborhood. His debut album, Withered, dropped earlier that year and hit number 13 on the Billboard 200, proving he wasn't just some one-hit wonder, but a real artist with staying power. He was in the middle of his Withered World Tour, selling out venues from coast to coast and overseas, living that life that every young artist grinding in their home studio dreams about achieving. His music style was something special, mixing that indie rock vibe with R&B smoothness, alternative pop that hits different, and dream pop that takes you to another place. The young king had built up over 3.88 million followers on TikTok and was pulling millions of streams monthly, showing that his fan base was solid and his music was really connecting with people across all demographics. But here's where the story gets real twisted. The irony wasn't lost on nobody that this cat's biggest hit was called Romantic Homicide, and now his whip is sitting in an impound lot with an actual body in it. That coincidence had everybody from the hood to the hills talking, wondering if this was some real-life imitating art situation or just the universe playing a sick joke. The LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division stepped in to handle this case because they knew it was about to become a media circus with all the attention a celebrity investigation brings. These detectives deal with the most serious crimes in the city, and they understood they was about to be under a microscope while trying to figure out what really happened. David has officially canceled the remaining dates on his U.S. tour amid the Celeste Rivas Hernandez investigation. When word started spreading through the neighborhood networks and social media started blowing up, the first reports were real careful about what they were saying. The police made it clear that David was on tour when they found the body and hadn't been arrested or officially named as a suspect. But that didn't stop people from speculating and trying to connect dots that might not even be connected. But just having his name attached to something this heavy was enough to get the whole internet going crazy with theories, investigations, and deep dives into every lyric he ever wrote and every move he ever made. Social media turned into CSI headquarters with everybody thinking they was detectives, pulling up old posts and analyzing everything looking for clues. The timing couldn't have been worse for the young artist's career momentum. David had shows scheduled at major venues like the Greek Theater in LA and had European dates lined up that his fans been waiting months to see. All that success he worked so hard for was now sitting under a dark cloud, and everybody was watching to see how this situation would play out. What made things even more complicated was that David had always presented himself as a real spiritual cat who talked about his faith and family values in interviews. This religious image he projected made the allegations even more shocking to people who thought they knew what type of person he was. The investigation started focusing on who had access to the whip and when this body might have been placed there. Word was that the Tesla had been sitting on that Hollywood Hill Street for about a month before getting towed, which raised all kinds of questions about the timeline and who might have been involved in this whole situation. The condition of the body suggested whoever this was had been dead for a while. But determining exactly what happened was going to require some serious forensic work and investigation that could take weeks or months to complete properly. Nobody could have predicted that this discovery was just the beginning of a story that would expose some real dark stuff about exploitation, power, and a young girl whose life got cut short in the worst possible way. The truth about the victim and the real connections. The game completely changed on September 17, 2025. When the LA County Medical Examiner's Office came through with the official identification using dental records and forensic analysis, confirming that the remains belonged to 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. This revelation had the whole community shook because this wasn't just some random case anymore. This was about a young girl whose family had been searching for her for over a year, wondering what happened to their baby girl. Celeste wasn't just another missing persons case that gets filed away and forgotten about. This was a real young lady from the community who had dreams and people who loved her. Born around 2010, she had disappeared from Lake Elsinore, California on April 5, 2024 when she was only 13 years old, an age when kids should be worried about homework and crushes, not becoming victims of predators who see them as targets. Lake Elsinore is one of them suburban communities in Riverside County about 60 miles outside LA where families move to get away from the chaos of the big city and raise their kids in a safer environment. It's the type of neighborhood where people know their neighbors. Kids can still play outside without parents worrying too much. And when a teenager goes missing, the whole community feels that loss personally. The local sheriff's department had her case in their system. But real talk, missing teenager cases happen so often that unless there's something that makes it blow up in the media, these cases often don't get the attention and resources they deserve. Thousands of young people go missing every year, and most of their stories never make it past the local news. People who knew Celeste described her as a regular teenager with that signature big curly hair, often seen walking around the neighborhood on her way to school, just living her young life the way teenagers supposed to. Her family talked about a loving daughter, whose absence left a hole in their hearts that grew bigger with every day she stayed missing. After the official identification came through, her family spoke out about their devastating loss, with relatives saying they were heartbroken after getting confirmation that their worst fears had come true. The family made it clear through statements and interviews that they had no idea where their daughter was after she disappeared and didn't know anything about any connection between Celeste and David, which would become crucial information as more details emerged. But as the detectives started digging deeper into Celeste's last few months and examining her digital footprint, because every teenager leaves traces of their life online, some real disturbing information started coming to light that transformed this from a straightforward homicide investigation into something much more sinister and complex. That's when they opened that front hatch on the Tesla and found the bag with the body parts. The discovery details were becoming clearer as more information emerged from the investigation. Celeste's mother dropped a bombshell when she told reporters that her daughter had mentioned having a boyfriend named David before she went missing. Now, this detail immediately got everybody's attention because David's government name is David Anthony Burke. And that connection couldn't be ignored, even though legally it was still just circumstantial evidence. But the connections between Celeste and David got even more wild when investigators discovered something that had everybody talking. Both Celeste and David had matching Esh tattoos on their right index fingers, which might seem like coincidence except for all the other circumstances surrounding their alleged relationship. Now, this particular tattoo design was made famous by Rihanna back in 2008, and other celebrities like Lindsay Lohan and Lily Allen got similar ones later. So it's not like this design was completely unique. But when you consider the timing, the placement, and everything else that was being discovered, it raised serious questions about what type of relationship these two had. Celeste's tattoo was done in red ink, while David's was in black, but the design and location were basically identical. As the digital forensics team started going through seized devices and social media histories, looking at deleted messages and archived content, the picture that emerged was real troubling and suggested a relationship that had serious power imbalances and potential exploitation issues. Reports started surfacing that Celeste had first connected with David through social media when she was around 12, 13 years old while he was 17, 18, which immediately raised red flags about grooming and inappropriate contact with a minor. These reports came from multiple sources, including Celeste's former teacher at Lakeland Village Middle School, who confirmed that the student had talked about meeting the singer online. Then the investigation took an even darker turn when some real disturbing evidence surfaced in the form of music that David had recorded. A demo track called Celeste that David had made in December 2023 got leaked online, and when people heard those lyrics, it sent chills through everybody following this case because the content was way too specific to be coincidence. The song had explicit references to someone named Celeste with lyrics that described intimate details suggesting they had a close relationship. Lines like, "Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest, and I'm obsessed," painted a picture of someone who was fixated on this person in a way that went beyond normal artistic expression or healthy romantic interest. The timing of when this song was recorded, December 2023, just months before Celeste disappeared, in April 2024, raised serious questions about what was happening between them during this period, and whether David might have been involved in whatever led to her disappearance and death. That is a big question at this point, Ashley. What we do know is that the car was impounded on the 5th of September. The police discovered the body in the Tesla on the 8th of September. On September 18th, 2025, the investigation kicked into high gear when LAPD rolled up to a Hollywood Hills residence where David had been staying and executed a search warrant. This house on Dini Drive was owned by some businessman named Medan Triunovich, but was being rented by David's manager, Josh Marshall, at Interscope Records. What made this location even more significant was that it was only about 500 FT from where the Tesla had been abandoned. During the search that lasted several hours, detectives seized computers, electronic devices, and multiple evidence bags full of materials that would be analyzed for digital evidence and connections to Celeste. They also tested for blood evidence in drains and on surfaces throughout the property, though the results of those tests haven't been released to the public yet. The investigation started revealing additional disturbing elements that suggested this wasn't just about one victim, but potentially part of a pattern of grooming and exploitation. They certainly had some of them because the police did say that she had, this tattoo, which is very interesting. Something we found out, but she had a tattoo on her right index finger. Social media posts and videos that nobody had paid attention to before suddenly became important evidence, showing interactions between David and what appeared to be young fans that raised questions about appropriate boundaries. One particularly disturbing piece of evidence was a live stream from February 2024 where Celeste allegedly made accusations against David before the stream got cut off and recordings were supposedly deleted. This incident was witnessed by multiple viewers, but nobody reported it to authorities at the time, which showed how these situations can be ignored or dismissed when people should be stepping up to protect vulnerable kids. This case started highlighting bigger problems in the music industry about how young fans can be exploited by artists who have power and influence over their admirers. Celeste's story wasn't just about one individual tragedy. It represented systemic issues that affect vulnerable young people who look up to celebrities and can be manipulated by people they trust. As the investigation continued, David's legal team put out statements saying he was cooperating with police while refusing to make public comments that might interfere with the investigation. But his silence on the matter, combined with all the circumstantial evidence mounting up, only made people more suspicious and angry about what might have really happened. The entertainment industry started backing away from David real quick once this stuff came to light. Major brands like Crocs and Hollister pulled him from advertising campaigns, and his record label stopped all promotional activities for his music. These companies move fast because they understood that being associated with these allegations could seriously damage their brands and bottom line. When the industry got exposed and justice started moving, when the full truth about Celeste Rivas Hernandez came out and all them connections to David started getting exposed, it created a chain reaction that completely flipped the script on everything. This wasn't just about one investigation anymore. This became a wake-up call that had the whole industry shook and got communities everywhere demanding answers about how we protect our young people from predators who use fame and influence to exploit them. The immediate impact on David's career was swift and brutal, like when the streets turn on somebody who violated the code. By September 19, 2025, He had to cancel every single one of his remaining U.S. tour dates, including those sold-out shows at major venues like the Warfield Theater in San Francisco and the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. These weren't just regular concerts getting canceled. These were major money moves that represented years of grinding and building a fan base, all going down the drain because of these serious allegations. The domino effect hit his international shows too, with European and UK dates getting pulled from ticketing websites one by one, basically ending what was supposed to be his breakout world tour that would have established him as a major international artist instead of just a regional success story. David has officially canceled the remaining dates on his U.S. tour amid the Celeste Rivas Hernandez investigation. Sources tell TMZ that David's camp made the decision to cancel the remaining 2 shows on Thursday. The corporate world moved even faster than the music industry when it came to cutting ties. Crocs and Hollister, 2 major brands that had David featured in their Dream Drop campaign that just launched days before this whole mess exploded, immediately started scrubbing him from their marketing materials like he never existed. Their official statement was real careful and corporate. "We have removed campaign content featuring David while the investigation continues," which was their polite way of saying they couldn't afford to be associated with this situation. This type of corporate response showed how the business world operates when serious allegations surface. They protect their brands first and ask questions later, because being connected to criminal investigations can destroy years of carefully built brand reputation and cost millions in lost sales. Sony Music, which owns Intercope Records where David was signed, made the decision to completely halt all promotional activities for his album Withered, including stopping the planned deluxe edition release that was supposed to capitalize on the tour momentum. This basically put his entire recording career on ice while the investigation played out. Meanwhile, the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division was handling this case with the professionalism and thoroughness that serious crimes deserve. Despite all the pressure from social media and the public demanding immediate arrest, law enforcement officials kept emphasizing that David hadn't been formally named as a suspect and that they were following proper investigative procedures to make sure any charges they eventually filed would stick in court. This methodical approach frustrated people who wanted instant justice. But experienced investigators know that rushing to arrest someone without solid evidence can destroy a case and let guilty parties walk free. The detectives understood they were working under intense scrutiny while needing to build an airtight case that would hold up under the microscope of a high-profile trio. Legal experts following the case pointed out the challenges investigators faced. The medical examiner has said that the cause of death is deferred. You mean they have not been able to figure it out at this point? And, there's going to be further toxicology testing? The advanced decomposition of Celeste's remains meant determining an exact cause of death would require extensive forensic analysis and toxicology testing that could take weeks or months to complete while everyone demanded immediate answers. The circumstantial evidence, the matching tattoos, the song lyrics, the alleged social media interactions, and the proximity of the abandoned car to David's residence created a compelling narrative that had people convinced of his guilt. But turning that circumstantial evidence into criminal charges that would result in convictions required concrete physical evidence that directly connected him to Celeste's death. Social media became the battleground where this case was being fought in the court of public opinion. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit turned into investigation headquarters where millions of people were sharing theories, analyzing lyrics, and demanding justice. Hashtags like #JusticeForce started trending worldwide with people sharing their analysis and demanding immediate action from law enforcement. But this intense online activity also created problems with misinformation, unverified claims, and conspiracy theories spreading faster than the actual facts. This digital mob mentality risked compromising the investigation and potentially tainting the jury pool for any future trial. The case exposed some real issues in the music industry about how artists with young fan bases are monitored and held accountable for their behavior. Industry insiders started questioning whether warning signs had been ignored and whether the current systems for protecting young fans were adequate.